Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee Cup Gardening. Well, the sun is beating down up here in Scotland. I know, you think that whenever there's sunshine there must be midges, but you know what, there's none. There's a gentle, cool breeze blowing and it's an absolute delight to be out in the garden. So I thought what we'd do is I'd just take you for a walk around the garden and let you see what's happening. Now we've got a bit of a, not exactly a hosepipe ban at the minute, but the local authority have asked us to be very careful with our water. Now, as you can imagine, having a garden which is predominantly sand and a bit of mulch on top, it can drink quite a bit of water. So what I've started doing is, well, in fact, I'll show you. Let's go and have a look. So here we are, just having a wander around the garden itself. And this is Debbie's cottage flower garden. And it's been absolutely beautiful. You can see the activity of the bees there. It's still quite busy and it's early in the morning yet. Now a lot of these flowers have actually gone over, so she really needs to get herself out here and start thinning them out a wee bit, just so that what is left blossoms can flower a bit more. Now we had a few spare flowers this year, so we made up a few baskets, just a couple of tubs, and then some cosmos, and then some pumpkins, and then a few more bits and pieces. So whenever I grow anything, I just get it out there. I figure it's always better out in a tub than it is in a greenhouse or something. So this is just a bunch of old pots that a friend of mine's given me. So what I'll do with them is I'll probably paint them up a little bit gaudy and then plant them up and stick them in the back garden. Now to one person these may just be rubbish, but to me these are first class, absolutely first class. Look at this Nicotiana cornflowers, and here, look at that. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? You can see we've got this sweet pea growing behind the wire there. So we'll come round here and we'll come across into the vegetable garden, which is my delight, of course. So remember, we've got these sunflowers doing really well. They're my favourite flower at the moment, the sunflower. But the bees' favourite flower at the moment has to be all of this borage down here. The bees absolutely love this stuff. I mean, look at this little fella here. They absolutely adore it. So I actually plant it in the garden, but I plant it all over the place, so it looks as if it's just grown wild. Look at the size of these cabbages. I don't know if you can see that down there. That's already about 8 pounds in weight. Now remember, this is a mulch garden. I've never dug it. I literally cardboard covered it and then put on top of that anything I could get as a growing medium. And I think you have to agree, it's not doing bad, is it? I mean, look at these now. These are Scarlet Emperor, and they're just starting now to get the beans on them. You see them? Some more little fellows down here doing all the work. See, I believe in getting the worms to do the composting and the bees to do all the pollinating. Then I get to just sit with me coffee cup. Hence, coffee cup gardening. Now the garlic this year, which you can see the tubs I grew them in at the back, wasn't a great success. I think I overwatered some of it and underwatered the rest, so that's got to be down to human error. Now where do you see that? Look, kale plants with sweet pea flowers. And again, it's this informal gardening where I try and get everything just to grow amidst other things. I don't believe in sterile gardening where you have like a plot of carrots and a plot of cabbages and a plot of this. If stuff moves around a wee bit, I think that's quite a good thing. So we've already started picking all these lovely broad beans, and Debbie makes an amazing broad bean salad with them. But I'm looking forward to the courgettes. They're a little bit slow this year. It's a shame I don't like poppies. There's been plenty of them in the garden. So coming around here you can see the onion patch, and again not doing too well on the onion side, but I think that's because Esmeralda here, the rowan tree, she's been drinking everything that goes in down there. I put a few flowers in the back just to kind of measure the amount of moisture that was in the soil. They didn't do too well. You know, they're about half the size of anything else that grew. So we'll go through the cosmos jungle here, and down in the bottom there I popped in a few French beans. You can see now they do really well here. The garden really seems to produce really nice French beans. These are very young. I mean, they've literally only been in a few weeks. But remember that tatey patch where I put them in the beehives? Well, you can't see the beehives now. I mean, look at this. Look at that, absolutely chock-a-blocker. Now over the background, you might remember I had plans for having sweet peas growing all the way along that wall. Well, look at that huge clump of sweet peas that's not there. They're the best sweet pea crop I've never seen. because the greenhouse has been doing very well this year. It was a bit of a trial really, because I grew my own seed for tomato. It was old seed, it was an heirloom seed, stripy tomatoes, yellow. Never done them before, popped them in, but the compost that I mixed up to put them in, I wasn't too happy with it. But you know, they've done all right. I mean, not magnificently, but they have actually done all right. So while I'm walking around the greenhouse, we'll have an interlude of music. So we're in the greenhouse now, and as you can see, it's doing very well. I've had a couple that just haven't grown at all. They've stayed down on the bottom. You might notice there's a lot of flowers in here. Well, again, that's what I put in, like a companion planting. And the idea is, my feeling is if there's a nice blossom in there, the bees are more likely to fly in and start pollinating everything in here. So I've got a few tagetes, a few daisies, tagetes, marigolds for the rest of us. But you can see the tomatoes are doing okay, you know. I mean, it's getting tomatoes on them. I'm not complaining. I'd like a few more. But they're doing well. The cacti, there we go. They're dedicated to my Uncle Harry, who was a great cacti grower and a great influence on my life. And there we are. Another sunflower in the greenhouse. They're growing everywhere. Now these cucumbers, again, I just popped them in old bins, mixed them up with some compost, but they're doing very well and they're coming into flower now. So I'm hoping that they will get pollinated and then they'll grow right up these wires and then along the ceiling. So I kind of have this crazy idea that I'll just be able to go and kind of pick them. I'll have that cucumber there and it'll just be hanging down. It'll be easier than going to Lidl's or Tesco, you know. Now these here, time for a short slurp. Ah, Cathy. These are the peppers. They're doing very well. I was a bit nervous about nipping the tops out of them all, but you know what? They've all kind of flushed up as they were supposed to. Now, one or two that I didn't take the tops out of, like you can see this one here, they've gone really leggy and they're weak. So the advice I would give is when you get them and they're about this tall, nip the top out and then all the side shoots will start to grow and they'll do very well. So, and sunflowers again, they come up everywhere. I mean, this is one of my favourite flowers. Look at that. That is a potato flower. Now, most people just ignore them, but they are so beautiful. They're so delicate. The petal around the outside, it's thinner than tissue paper. And the inside stamen is brighter than a daffodil in spring. So I love potatoes. This is our little garden round here. And this is a pot garden. Just imagine that there's water bubbling out of there and there's a lovely sound, but I haven't turned it on yet. So looking down the garden, I know, doesn't it look fantastic? You remember by the door, I tend to keep some salad veg in round here, just so that we can nip out, get fresh mint, fresh herbs. And also up here, and my little propagator. Now, you remember me saying that there was problems with water at the moment? Well, I'm having to water by hand on everything, but what I've done is I've disconnected my washing machines from the sewage and I've put it into a couple of bins. So every time I do the laundry, I end up with a couple of bins full of water because I have a few holiday cottages and I do a lot of laundry. And all that water previously has just been going to waste. And I was amazed to find out that one washing load gives me almost a full dustbin of water, and I've been wasting that all this time. Now, I know there's chemicals in it. I know there is. I know there's phosphates in it and there's scents in it, but there's nothing hyper-toxic to go on the grass and to go on the flowers. And I've been using it now for a few weeks, and the flowers are not showing any sign at all of any weathering in any way or any pollution in any way. I'm not using it on the vegetables. I'm keeping it well away from anything I'm going to eat. On the vegetables, I'm still using the last of the rainwater I've been harvesting, and also had my hot tub full of water before all the sunshine came, and I've been storing that away and using that too. The other water I'm using is water from the kitchen sink. So when we wash the dishes, we have a dustbin outside the door. You should be able to see it over there with my rubbish on top, my recycle on top, and everything goes into there, and we use that water on the vegetables as well, because we know that it's just organic eco products that's in that, and very, very little of it. So these are the cosmos, which I'm looking forward to. And that, shift the cloth down here, we've got my next lot down there of broccoli. So you can see I've got a couple of old polystyrene boxes, stuck some glass on top, instant propagator. Where's me coffee, man? Oh aye, here it is. So popping back into the garden again. These are jockster berries. Don't know if you've tried them before. They're like a cross between a black currant and a gooseberry. And my good friends give me a voucher actually to get myself a tree. And that's what I bought a couple of years ago. So that was Craig and Carrie. So thank you, Craig and Carrie. You can see they're just starting to fruit up now. Now the battle commences on this very shortly, because the minute the berries start to ripen and brown, they get attacked by the birds. And last year I think I actually got 3 berries. That's all I managed to get, but they were really nice. And another good friend of mine, Caroline, Will, they bought me this most beautiful barbecue, which I love. Everything else around here is all homegrown. You can see next to the barbie, chives, permanent garlic onion in there as well. So anything I can grow that can be used, I'll grow it. I mean, look at that. They are just phenomenal. Now, travelling over here to our bug hotel, it works. It works. I've had all sorts of little bits and pieces crawling inside and out of there. And the other week I made, hang on, time for a slurp. Oh man, how can you do a garden without a cup of coffee in your hand? Do you remember the other week when we made the vertical planter? Look at that now. Oh, that's just Walter Pigeon flying past. Look at that now, isn't that stunning? And the sweet peas love it here as well. I'm just picking them like they're going out of fashion. Coming around, yeah. Some call it hot tub, some call it secret water store. Do you know what? I'll have to put searchlights up in a sniper tower, because if they do a hosepipe ban up here completely, I know that people will be breaking in the night to steal that water. So again, popping around here, the honeysuckle has just been incredible. Now the plan there is just to grow it right up this wire, and it will join on to where the clematis is up there, and it will grow along this side. So the man cave will be hidden and camouflaged in flowers. Now if we pop down to the lower area of the garden, do you remember that big fence that looked like that? It was just a big boring fence. Well, look at it now. I mean, just, I don't know if you can even see it, but it's absolutely filled. There's some more of those cheap, chatty, horrible throwaway plastic pots that everybody hates. And I've got them filled with sunflowers, Jerusalem artichokes, and there was a giant sunflower in there, but unfortunately it bit the dust. So what I've done is I've just popped another one in there in a little plastic container to grow alongside it. And the reason is because I like these when you come up the street. There's these 8 foot tall, well 7 foot tall sunflowers looking over the fence at you, just to give you a nice bit of a smile. It's amazing how many people have a smile. Yeah, I like bits and pieces in the garden as well. Now, I saw this great idea for having a mirror in the garden, and the idea is it'll be fitted to the fence, and then the clematis will grow all over it. And it's just, why not? So as you can see, the sunflowers are doing really, really well. The clematis have done really well. They're growing up beautifully. The nicotiana, just starting to flower now. But from having a boring wooden fence, I've now got a beautiful area that's also food production, because I can keep the sunflower seeds on the top and eat them. I can put them in my breakfast cereal. I tend to just feed them to the birds through the winter, it has to be said. But also the bottoms are filled with Jerusalem artichokes, commonly known as 40 bombs in this area. Now I don't know why I grow so many runner beans. I think it's just because they're so pretty, because Debbie and I rarely eat them. But aren't they beautiful little flowers? I mean, look at that. That's gorgeous. And there's the little beans coming in there. And yet again, of course, another pumpkin. These things just, I just put them in and they just go like berserk. And this is get the most of the scent from the garden from this lovely bank of lavender. And again, the bees will be on that all year. This shows very clearly what you can do with runner beans. Look, people seem to think you can only grow them up over. No, they'll grow like a vine. They need a little bit of encouragement here and there, a little bit of string just to hold them until they get the idea. Now look at that one, it's going for a cuddle with that big nettle. Now the nettles are in the garden by choice, they're planted, they're not wild. If I get wild nettles I pull them out. But I've got this old beehive here with a tub inside and a blackcurrant bush. And when I brought the blackcurrant bush down from my previous garden, this nettle was wrapped around it. And I think they're having a love affair. And to be honest, I didn't have the heart to break them up. So I thought, well, why bother breaking them up? A nettle is a beautiful plant. It's one of the richest forms of vitamins and minerals in the garden. Personally, I can't abide nettle gnocchi, nettle soup, nettle stew, but I do like nettle compost, and the garden loves it too. So all I do is, when the nettles are ready, I cut them down, put them in a dustbin, fill it with water and leave it in the sun, and it starts to ferment, and it produces, for next to nothing, the most fantastic nitrogen-rich compost. And I use that to feed me tomatoes, and they don't complain at all. Also, the blossom on the top's good for the bees, they like it. And, well, again, why not? I hope you've enjoyed the quick walk around the garden. There's still a few other bits and pieces to see, but there's too much clutter to let you look at it yet. So it's a bit like if ever you've had a cleaner come into your house. You have to clean your house first before she actually comes in to clean. Well, it's a bit like that in my garden. Before I show you the messy bit, I have to clear up most of the real mess. So the sun's shining, the coffee cup's nearly empty. I encourage you all to get outside, plant a few bits and pieces, and just sit back and enjoy the garden. Cheers. It's gone cold. I need another one. And Debbie has just come out and said the magic words. Say that again, Debs.
Would you like a cup of tea?
I would love a cup of tea. This is the prettiest flower in my garden.
I thank you, my love.